Hi there, in this section we will learn about virtual DOM. So let's start. Okay, so before we go through the virtual DOM, we need to understand what is DOM. Now, although this is a topic of JavaScript, not of Vue.js, but still I want to give you a quick summary about DOM. So suppose if we have an HTML markup like this, and it's a simple HTML markup where we have body, h2, anchor tag and all. Now the DOM representation of this HTML markup will look something like this. Okay, so basically this DOM representation is basically the representation of our HTML document, and it consists several nodes like this HTML head, title, body and so on, and each node is an object which represents a part of our entire document, and it also consists information of that particular element like this document. So basically this document represents our entire HTML document. Okay, and under that document we have HTML head, body, h2, anchor tag and so on. Now as I said, node consists information about that element. So suppose this anchor tag we have, so this is a node actually, so it will contain the information about this anchor tag, like what is the content of this anchor tag. So it contains some text, and this text is basically representing this click here, and this anchor tag may have some attribute like as we have here href. So basically this is our DOM structure, and now let's see what is the purpose of DOM. Okay, now what is the purpose of DOM? So the main purpose of DOM is that we can programmatically access any elements. We can also change the structure of elements. We can also change the style of an element or even the content of the element. So let's suppose we have HTML markup like this, and let's say we want to access this h2 element of id my heading. So by using document.getElement by id, and by providing the id of that h2, we can easily access this h2 element. So this is the main advantage of DOM. Now what is the purpose of virtual DOM? So basically in modern web application, our HTML code will be huge until unless it's a simple hello world application. So what actually happens here is that it will search in this entire document for my heading id. Okay, now since our HTML code will be huge, so it will be a very tedious work for this method to search from the entire document. So that's why virtual DOM is introduced in order to maximize the performance, in order to change an element frequently. Okay, okay, now before we start virtual DOM, let's understand what is template. So basically a template is a valid HTML code in which we can use any property of a data object, and we can also call any methods inside our template as well. So let's say we have an HTML like this, and this HTML consists this div of id app. Now this div can have several elements like h2, a tag and so on. Now we can keep this h2 and a tag as a separate template like this. Okay, so again template is nothing but a valid HTML code in which we can use any property of our data object, and we can also call any methods. Okay, now let's see what is virtual DOM. So virtual DOM is actually a JavaScript object which represents the actual DOM. Okay, so suppose if we have a simple h2 element like this, so its DOM representation will be something like this. So h2 and then text, and its virtual DOM representation will be something like this. So it's, as you can see, it's an object which contains some properties like tag, so what kind of element it is. So it also have a property like children, which is an array which contains text representing the content of this h2 element. So this JavaScript object is actually the virtual DOM. Now let's see how it works. Okay, now let's see how virtual DOM works on this HTML markup. So first of all, we can keep this h2 element as a template. So this template will actually contain the h2 element. Now this template, which is nothing but a valid HTML, is converted to a JavaScript object by virtual DOM. So by virtual DOM it will converted as a JavaScript object. Now let's see how it will work. So we have this template which have this h2 element, and by the power of virtual DOM it successfully get converted into JavaScript object. Now why in the world virtual DOM needs to convert this into an object? So the main reason behind this is that it increases the performance to access that element in order to change it frequently. So suppose if you are using simple DOM but not the virtual DOM, then let's say to change the content of this h2 element, you need to use a DOM method like document.getElement by id, something like that, in order to access this h2 element. So by using DOM methods, it will search for that element in this entire document, which is not actually good for performance since our HTML code might be huge. Now by the template, the virtual DOM will search or modify the element within this template. It will not gonna search the entire document, which is good for performance. So that's why virtual DOM is better approach than simple DOM. Now let's see how it works. So we have this object. Now let's say we change some content of this h2 element, then it will again create a new object. Okay, now before render or update this h2 element, it will first check if this old object and this new object are identical or not. If they are identical or same, then it will not gonna update anything. But if let's say we change the content of this h2 element, which is this is heading, to this is new heading, since they are not identical because the content is different, here it is this is heading and here it is this is new heading, it will replace the old object with this new object, and so we will get the new content of this h2 element, which is this is new heading, and finally it will update this h2 element. Okay, so that's how virtual DOM works. So that's it for this section. In the next section we will see the template syntax. So till then, if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and please subscribe.